This is fucking crazy, because y'all want to know what was on the baseline and on the floor in the bubble? Fucking Black Lives Matter. Yeah. Phil Jackson stopped watching the NBA because he saw some Black Lives Matter on the floor. That's fucking crazy. That's some wild ass shit to stop watching the NBA over. I pray I never have that much hate in my heart ever.
So just recently on a podcast, NBA coaching legend Phil Jackson stated that he hasn't watched any NBA games, since 2020 when the league entered what was called then the bubble, where a few NBA teams resumed the 2020 season at a compound in Disney World due to the then current COVID pandemic. Now, the reason for why he stopped watching got a lot of people upset. And to me, it clearly shows how ignorant people are, when they comprehend to what they hear with their emotions and not their brain.
Do you still watch a lot of basketball or
no? I don't.
Tell me about that. When and did you stop immediately from the time you stopped coaching?
No, I didn't. I watched some of the game evolve and decided, and they went into the lockout year and they did something that was kind of wanky. They did a bubble down in Orlando, and all the teams that could qualify went down there and stayed down there.
No audience.
And they had things on their back like, Justice, and I made a little funny thing like, Justice just went to the basket and Equal Opportunity just knocked him down. And somebody had another name for a guy who has jersey in the back of a jersey, had some other slogan. So my grandkids thought that was pretty funny to play up those names. So I couldn't watch that.
What do you think it was that turned you off?
Well, it was they even had slogans on the floor, on the baseline. It was catering. It was trying to cater to an audience or trying to bring a certain audience into play. And they didn't know it was turning other people off, People want to see sports as non-political. We've had a lot of different type of players that have gone on to be like, Bill Bradley was a senator, number of baseball players been representatives and senators and political, but their politics stay out of the game.
Yeah, it's separate.
Doesn't need to be there.
And to me, Coach Jackson, he didn't say anything wrong, as he stated the truth. I mean, the NBA was catering to an audience of, social justice warriors, progressives, and basically people looking to make radical political and societal changes. Changes that would lead to a chaotic environment that eventually would lead to a regression in the black culture. I mean, but instead of listening and analyzing what Coach Jackson is saying, you have simpletons on social media and even TV commentaries like Jalen Rose from ESPN turning this into a race issue. Because when you don't apply logic and reason, then all you're going to see and hear is race.
You can't make this up. Hall of Fame coach and 11-time champion Phil Jackson claims to have stopped supporting the NBA because it became too political when it went into the bubble and was catering to certain audiences by putting slogans on the back of jerseys and Black Lives Matter on the floor. The same Phil Jackson that won championships with some of the greatest black athletes in the history of the game. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, made millions on their backs and off their sweat equity. You're sitting up watching a game with your grandkids and y'all think it's funny when Justice passes the ball to Equal Opportunity? When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So stop watching forever.
Notice anytime a race agitator like Jalen would paint black people as always being oppressed. I mean, when he states Coach Jackson made millions off the backs of his players and their sweat equity, like, bro, these players aren't slaves. They're making 5 times the amount Coach Jackson was making. And he exuded sweat equity as well, because it's not easy being a coach with so many big egos. Big egos that he had to deal with, for Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, Pippen. And notice Jalen would, put the word political in air quotes. No, bro, it's not a euphemism. Black Lives Matter, BLM, is a political movement, therefore a political slogan, and it promotes liberal and progressive ideas, from defunding the police to removal of cash bails to loosening laws for drug abusers. Pretty much anything that's to do with the criminal aspects of society. And it lumps black people as degenerates in a need of additional government and social assistance in order to succeed in what they deem as a racist American culture. Yeah, of course, the name or the phrase is innocent, but their intentions are not. Even to this day, if you look up Black Lives Matter website, they clearly state it. They state right here, we affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. And under their Her Story link, the three creators clearly state that they are radical and that Black Lives Matter is a black-centered political will and movement. So they're even telling us that BLM is a political movement. And what side of politics is this movement on? Well, we all know what side. And if you don't know, President Biden will definitely remind you.
3 words have ignited a political and racial firestorm.
So if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
So look, as a black man, I agree with Coach Jackson. I even stopped watching the NBA somewhat after the whole BLM slogan was being placed on the court myself. Now, I do admit I stopped watching the regular season, but I do occasionally watch the NBA playoffs because I really love basketball. And to me, the playoffs is when the guys are really playing hard. But it's just so foolish to kill the message because you believe the messenger is racist, especially when there's no proof that that Coach Jackson is racist. I mean, he's just a straight shooter. Like, for instance, calling LeBron's team as a posse, that's not racist. That's just an old terminology, which just means that, your crew or your friends. People be reaching too hard. I mean, even to a point where people are saying that Scottie Pippen was right when he called Phil Jackson a racist, just sounds dumb. Because if Phil Jackson was truly a racist, Scottie Pippen would have said it years ago. But instead, he says it when he's bitter and when he's about to sell a book. So if Phil Jackson is racist, then Scottie Pippen is opportunist. And on top of that, the reason Scottie gave for Phil Jackson being racist was because Phil Jackson chose Tony Kukoc, a white European, to take the last shot in a playoff game against the Knicks. Really?
No timeouts left for the Bulls. Scottie's going to sit here.
If I look for Kukoc here, at 6'11", he's the logical man to shoot over the tough defense.
Myers triggers the inbounds pass. Lob comes into Tony. Look out, it's on line. Yeah! Bulls win! Bulls win it!
Really? How stupid a reason does that sound? We've gone from where racism is being hung on trees to being whipped and work for pennies to being a millionaire who's not chosen to take the last shot in a basketball game. Unfreaking believable, man. I mean, it's stupid takes like that makes a lot of people not take black folks' grievances seriously. Coach Jackson, he said nothing wrong here. And if the NBA is smart, they will take heed to what he is saying because the numbers don't lie. NBA ratings have been dropping significantly. As in the 2019 NBA Finals, the highest rated game was a 10.7, which is equivalent to 18 million viewers. And just last year, the highest was 7.5, which is equivalent to 14 million viewers. And that's a lot when players' salaries are expected to go up, as well as the cost of business. And the NBA's current TV contract is up in 2 years in 2025, where the league is making almost $3 billion a year, and now they're looking to negotiate to $7 billion a year. So the league needs to be wise and not give in to these woke ideologies like it did in 2020. Otherwise, the NBA may end up like the WNBA. But to be fair, the WNBA actually is a successful league because it's accomplishing what its main objective is. And I go into a little bit more here. So check it out.